Let's get it. Now, in my last video, I took the opportunity to address Kody's position that he's just a piece of meat and Janelle is using him and taking advantage of him and abusing him because she wants to spend time with him in a romantic sense, you know, kind of like a husband and wife would do. But there's something in addition to what he said during that clip that I also wanted to highlight and take the opportunity to talk about. Now, before I get into it, I would simply ask that if you guys are enjoying my content, go ahead and give me that thumbs up. Also, if you're not yet subscribed, what are you doing? It's easy to do. It may not be a big click to you, but it's a huge click for me. So go ahead and give me that HBO special, which stands for Help a Brother Out Special, by clicking that subscribe button, ringing the bell for notifications, and you will be notified when I upload content just like this, as well as my longer form content and my lives. Speaking of lives, we go live right after the show. It's an off the hook after party that we do here on My Take on Reality channel. We talk about the things we just watched. We talk about some other things. The chat box is always live and on fire. So come through, check us out, participate. It's a great time. Now let's get it. Now, like I said, I wanted to address one of the other things that Kody had accused Janelle of, because he accused her of taking advantage of him sexually as though he was a piece of meat, which I kind of got into it, but I really didn't want to get into the indignity of him trying to pretend as though he was somehow better than her and he was out of her reach, out of her class, out of her range, or however you want to put it. Basically, he's trying to create a sense of, I'm me, this physical specimen, this good-looking man, this beautiful man who's walking around, you know, hair's flowing, body's popping, got all this going on financially, and she, this lowly, unattractive woman, even though I gave her a couple shots here and there, now all of a sudden she's expecting to make demands on my time, when clearly I'm out of her, I forget what they call it. I'm out of her league, if you will. And so I'm not going to address that because I think that shit is foolish. I don't appreciate that on either side or either way. I don't really like it when somebody comes out and says, yeah, I was married to that person for 20 years or 30 years and they ain't nothing, they garbage. Well, obviously they was something, because nobody spends, hell, I wouldn't spend 5 minutes with somebody I didn't like or I didn't think was worthy of my time. I sure as hell wouldn't spend more than quarter of a century with somebody who I didn't think was worthy of me. So you were where you were, and now that you got the new booty, you think that you're beyond the woman that you had. And that somehow you at the level where you can make demands that you get diesel models. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. He even made that accusation. But beyond that, let's take a listen to this clip that he put out, or I'm sorry, that was aired during the tell-all, that I pulled from the tell-all, and then we're going to talk about the second part of what he said during that little exchange he had with Suki. Let's take a look.
Hey, I got to say something. They've missed something there.
What did they miss?
The great pecs and the six-pack abs was all about the fact that Janelle has always seen me as a physical specimen and as a resource, and not ever really dove into my humanity.
Stop it. Get some help.
You like his pecs?
God, could you believe that? I was like...
I'm sorry I had to play the whole thing. I put it together for my last video. I thought it was appropriate here as well. Hopefully nobody's offended. Now, I don't blame Suki for asking the obvious question about him making these foolish, outlandish claims that, you know, he's such a physical specimen and he's so wonderful and so great that Janelle should be honored that he spends time with her. That's a ridiculous premise on its face. So I'm glad Suki gave her the opportunity to address it. However, I want to take the opportunity now to address the second part of what he said, where he says that Janelle only saw him as a resource. Now, if we break that down, essentially what he's talking about is a manosphere concept where women get with men as a way to procure resources for themselves and by offset their children. So In other words, this is that hypergamy notion that Kody always talks about. Like, oh, the hypergamy, the women are chasing after dudes for their resources. He might even justify to himself that Christine didn't leave me because I'm a bad guy. Christine left me for a better guy, a richer guy. Because it's my understanding that Dave Willie is actually doing really well financially. So for Kody, it's not the fact that he didn't pay attention to his wife. He didn't do the things that were necessary to keep his wife. It's the idea that all of a sudden somebody came along with a bigger bank wallet and all women are gold diggers. So therefore, Christine is a gold digger. A guy came by with more gold. She left his mine and went to somebody else's mine. Now, that in and of itself is foolish, and it ignores his entire history. Kody didn't have any gold when he met Mary. He sure as hell didn't have any gold when he met Janelle, who had way more gold than he did because he stayed with her. Both him and Mary rented a room from Janelle in Janelle's house. He didn't have gold when he met Christine. The only person who he was able to provide for that way is Robin. Which brings up the bigger point that I wanted to address when it came to this. We have to keep in mind that when people address these types of issues, a lot of times they do so based on the current experience or the experience that they have. So for instance, if you have a friend and they're dating a guy who's cheating on them all the time, all men cheat. You're friends with a guy and he says, yeah, I'm dating my wife or this woman and she keeps using me for money. So therefore, all women are gold diggers. No, bruh. It's you. It's the one that you're dealing with. With Kody, because he's dealing with somebody who is using him for his resources, is attracted to him for the things that she can get from the relationship, does, in fact, create a scenario where the only reason why she is involved in this marriage is because Kody was able to provide for her, her children, and get her out of debt and pay for her to have a nice home. And the person I'm speaking of course, is Robin. So when he says this about Janelle, he's taking and transposing his relationship and his experience with Robin and placing it solely on Janelle's shoulders and saying, oh, she must also be using me for my things. Now, the funniest part to me, and this is the bigger point that I wanted to make, the funniest thing to me is the resources that he has are a direct result of his relationship with his previous 3 wives. I'm going to say that again. The situation he finds himself in now financially is a direct result of his relationship with his previous 3 wives. He's talking as though he has this big house, the McMansion that he lives in with Robin, that he was able to purchase. He's talking as though he bought that house with his money. And now Janelle is trying to get him to buy her a house because she was living in a little tiny small apartment. And now she wants to get some of his money so that he will buy her a house. The truth of the matter is that Kody, in true Kody form and fashion, took money from the OG3 and used that money to buy himself a home. He took the houses and the profits that they got from Las Vegas, put it in a bank account that he had access to, then used that bank account money to purchase a home for himself. I'm tired of saying and tired of pretending that he bought that house for Robin. He did not. He bought that house for himself. That is his house. That's not Robin's house. That's his house that he bought with his relationship money that he had from his other previous children's mothers. Period. And it's insulting that he's sitting here pretending as though they're coming to him, begging him for his stuff. If anything, they're begging for their stuff back. This is like you lending somebody money and then having to ask for, when you say, hey man, remember I gave you that $500, you said you needed it for rent, I gave you that $5, now I need that $5 back, because remember when I told you you were begging for the money, you were asking me for the money, I gave it to you, I told you that I needed this money for myself, you said you would get it back to me, that time has passed, now I want my money back, then all of a sudden they hit you with the, man, you gonna come at me and ask me, beg me for that little bit of chump change? I'm not begging you for my money back. I want my money back. In this particular situation, Janelle is demanding that she get her cut of the money that she invested into the family fund. She wants her money. She doesn't want Kody's resources. She wants her resources back, is what it is. And I find that to be insulting on a number of levels because you were in a situation you're in because of these women. And now you're trying to shift it and switch it so that it seems as though these women are coming to you, trying to take from you, trying to take money out of you and your kids' mouth, take a roof from over you and your kids and your family's head to provide money for themselves. And somehow they're selfish. They're the selfish ones. In short, that's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could.